and welcome back to the Teacher's Wake Up Call. I am Madame la Prof, here to talk about being a fan, having a fan club. I had an interesting conversation. It was online. It was messages sent back and forth between me and, I don't even want to say a former colleague. Well, okay, we worked on a project together indirectly, but we never actually worked together. And I don't want to call her, okay, she's a friend, but like, I feel bad because like I know she's besties with my colleague, so it's like we're friends in periphery, okay? And we send each other memes and videos and silly stuff on Instagram or Facebook, and yes, Facebook. So is that a friend? Does that count as a friend? Does that count as a friend? Did she see me at my worst? Not yet. So shout out to my peripheral friend with whom I share a lot of interesting memes and context. We went to see a movie together with her brothers. Yeah, okay, that's a friend. That's a friend. That falls in friend category. Okay, so I had an interesting conversation this weekend with my friend. And she said two things that kind of sort of floored me. First thing is that she said that her mom is a fan of mine. I think I met her mom once upon a time, like maybe 3 years ago, but I don't remember. I don't think we actually met. And she said that there were a bunch of teachers and or parents, I will have to reread the message, from an elementary school in this area who are huge fans of me. And I'm like, but of course then I immediately thought of a colleague I used to work with at my old school whose kids go to that school, and I said, wait, are their family names X and X, X and Y? And she said, I don't think so. I'm like, okay, so it's not them. So I was very puzzled. Because, okay, first of all, I was flattered. I'm flattered. Oh, yay, people are fans of me. That's great. But then I became, I don't want to say concerned. Concerned is not the right word. As a French second language teacher, do I need a fan club? And before you think that, of course, Madame la Prof, you're on YouTube. Of course you want a fan club. There's a lot, having a fan club is something extremely loaded, okay? It's like I can only imagine BTS and their legions of fans, their army, okay? Now, am I known? Yes, okay? And that's not because I'm on YouTube or I'm online. No, I'm known because I've been teaching since 1998, okay? I had a former student not when I started my career, but pretty much close to the start of my career, wish me happy birthday, because we found ourselves on Facebook when it was a popular thing, and she wished me happy birthday. Okay, that's amazing. That's fantastic. The fact that people have found me memorable enough to remember me, and if we cross paths in the subway, okay, years after they've graduated, and they come and see me and say, hi, Madame la Prof. I don't know if you remember me, and I'm horrible with names, but I will remember the face and I'll go, why, yes, you were. that class and I see so and so and so and so, and you are, and then normally I will remember the name. I'll remember the name. I will remember the year that they graduated, okay? And that makes a lot of people laugh. And it's like, how do you do that? It's like, I don't know. I associate, like, you know, those memory techniques, les techniques, I can't even say the word. There's an M and an N in there in the same syllable, and it's always a fun thing to pronounce. But I use memory tricks to help me remember what class they were from, and where I was in certain points in my life to know. And these former students remember me. Okay, they remember me, and I'm flattered because I've done something in their lives that made it so they wish to have a positive relationship with their former teacher. But I don't know if that equates to a fan club, right? I don't want either current students or former students to be a fan of me, either because I'm on YouTube or I make the occasional joke, especially the folks in the hallway. Y'all are lovable, but there's me saying funny things to keep you guys in check when you're in the hallway, and then there's the me inside of the classroom. I don't know if that equates to having fans. I would rather have former students and parents, okay, and parents too, have a positive memory of me because I made sure that their experience in the classroom was a positive one, that they didn't equate learning a second language as a chore, as a burden, as an impossible task. Learning a second language or a third language or even a fourth language needs to be associated with something positive. Like for instance, I'm learning Japanese. I'm associating it with anime, and I love anime. So that's what keeps me going. And I want them to associate happy memories, positive memories with learning a second language, because that will also influence how they perceive learning in the long run. If you want to have lifelong learners, struggle, challenges is an important part, but they have to be perceived not in a negative way. Because right now we're still looking at failure and challenges as something negative. But we have to train our brains and our minds to look as a challenge, like, okay, I'll get over it or I won't, you know, and then if I can't, what do I have to do to fix it? We've associated a lot of negativity with the idea of failure and struggle. I mean, struggle is supposed to be hard, but we also have to have a different mindset in order to grow. And if we always associate something negative with a struggle, with learning, with you know, learning something new, it will always be perceived as something impossible to overcome. We have to change that mindset. And that's what I'm trying to instill in my classroom, maybe not in these words, but that's the feeling that's the vibe I'm trying to create in my classroom and when people encounter me. I do have my resting bee face sometimes. I remember yesterday at lunch, there were some girls shrieking on the second floor. And I'm like, what the floof is going on? Who's being brutalized? And they're just three girls just sitting on the second floor, like right by the stairs. I said, look, okay, there are people who are actually doing exam prep on the third floor. If you want to shriek, if you want to have fun, go outside. But I said it in such a way that was like straight, direct, almost like, why is she upset? I wasn't upset, but I meant business. But I will also be the one who will crack a joke when someone's being a fool. But I will point it out, not to mock them, but to say, is this the smartest thing you can do? Like, really? Is this the top of your intellect to pull this kind of stunt? And it makes them stop and think and go like, yeah. And then it's like, okay. Think about it. Is this a wise thing to do in the hallway full of people? You know, like the fools, the clowns that they are. Lovable. Okay? If that makes me memorable, I'm happy. Okay? I'm happy. That way, if I ever have them in my class, they'll associate. But that cannot be the only memory they have of me. It's complex. And I want that first contact to be a good one, not a bad one. So if I have had that impression on parents, on students, and they are fans of me, okay, but I don't want a fan club. I don't want a fan club. That's a lot to manage. But do I have to write letters like they used to do in the past? Do I have to write letters and send them to them? Do I have to send glossy 8x11 signed? No, I don't want that. I don't want that. I would rather have a bunch of people who appreciated the work that I did. But it can't just be me. If those people happen to be fans of me, it's because they clicked with me. My sense of humor and my approach does not work with everyone. I am a lot to digest, okay? In the classroom, I can be a lot to digest. I may have Emmy-winning performances, okay? Emmy-worthy performances. I never won an Emmy. Emmy-worthy performances, okay? But I'm a lot. But I'm hoping that those people who didn't necessarily connect with me will connect with someone else, with another teacher, who will have an impact on them and will give them that positive experience that we hope they can associate with being in schools. Because school is a challenge, and there are a lot of challenging schools out there. And we're trying to change that climate. We're trying to change that environment in order for schools to be a safe space, because there are many schools, they're not safe. They're not safe. I'm not talking about physically violent, but mentally, it's a struggle. It's a challenge for some. So yeah, I appreciate the thumbs up, and I appreciate the good words, but I don't need a fan club. Not in that sense. I appreciate the fans. I don't. It's not something that I want on my plate. It's coffee. Have yourselves an awesome day.